All right, everybody, welcome back. What a show yesterday. That was crazy. It is being seen by a lot of people on both this main channel and the backup channel. So thanks everybody for showing up and sharing that video. That was off the chain. Now, if you haven't heard by now, essentially in that video, we found a document that documented the human trafficking, child trafficking through orphanages in the exact town where Erica Kirk was working and in the same time frame. They didn't say orphanages specifically, but we put all the dots together. The exact town, which was a port city, the largest port on the Black Sea. Now, I know there's a lot going on in the world. We're not going to get to all of it today. I know there's scrootings and stabbings and people dying and dropping off. I feel like that's kind of the distraction to get everyone focused on that so we can drop the ball on some more other important items that we need to get into today. Not to say that those things aren't going on and that they're not important to discuss. It's just that that's not what we really do on this channel. I feel like the control apparatus will do whatever they need to implement control. And if that involves, a murder here and there, stabbing, scrooting, they're going to do it. And you probably think to yourself, why do they go through all the trouble? If these things are false flags or whatever, why would they go through all the trouble? Well, remember, control is about sentiment. It's about lies. It's about maintaining control. And so it is kind of a process where they have to balance their options, because if everybody woke up all at the same time, then guess what? They would lose control. So this is why they don't just go through and implement gun control policies. They have to do these incremental steps to get everyone outraged, to get everyone on their side, which is exactly what's happening in Australia right now, the land of Oz, which we've been talking about for the past 3 weeks. Right? Weird how we start talking about something and then things start happening. That's just bizarre. So, mass scrutiny over there, and they're already talking about, more gun control laws, which obviously don't affect criminals. Criminals aren't going to abide by the laws anyway, so it affects the people. And so that's what's going on with that. Now, I wanted to open the show today with how it is that 90% of the podcasters out there have boldly chosen the losing side. Let me say that again. 90% of the podcasters have boldly chosen the losing side in the debate between Candace Owens and Erica Kirk. And you better look now to see the truth under some of these Facebook posts and see how many people are laughing these podcasters off the stage. Because pretty soon, everything will be a hall of mirrors, an illusion. I think they dropped the ball so far in terms of hiding the true sentiment, but don't worry, they'll get a handle on that too, with fake likes and fake sentiment. Because it all hit me today. I was like, why would a prominent podcaster risk losing half their base to knowingly choose the losing side of the debate about the Charlie Kirk assassination and the debate between Turning Point and Candace Owens? Fake or not, whatever your feeling is on it, fake or not, I'm watching all this play out, and I had to ask the question, why? What would induce someone to choose to lose? And it's happening in real time. These podcasters are losing millions. Well, let's say tens of thousands of subscribers daily for choosing the losing side. And then the answer revealed itself. It's because social media sites now have the technology to create fake likes, fake comments, and even fake subscribers. And these fake AI metrics will begin to prop up the wrong sentiment, the inorganic sentiment, while burying true thought. Yes, everything that you will see will be fake. and it will be influencing you right off of a cliff. That's where all this is headed. Now, I'm shocked that they ran this operation, the whole Charlie Kirk thing, without knowing how, without putting this in place yet. Because if you just look through the feed, you will see people are overwhelmingly on Candace's side. And what do I say? What do I mean by Candace's side? What she's presenting. I'm not talking about Candace Owens, the person. I'm talking about her argument that a 30-06 bullet cannot be stopped by human tissue. And that there was a plane that was following Erica Kirk around all the way back when she was dating Charlie Kirk. And no one wants to answer the questions as to why this is happening. Now, after hearing Erica Kirk's rant the other day on how social media will be to blame, she says social media will be to blame for tainting jury pools. And she's going to blame social media when or if these alleged killers are exonerated. She's going to blame social media. In other words, if she was president, she would probably put in censorship laws to stop people from ever even talking about these cases on social media. So it looks like we are in for another round of censorship, according to Erica, because according to her, none of us should be allowed to speculate about any court cases, and we should put complete trust and control in our government to identify and prosecute the right person. And I'm sorry, but that does not pass the sniff test for me. This is the opposite of what Charlie Kirk taught, whether or not you thought he was legitimate or not. Because our government has been caught lying numerous times. And if we put complete trust in them about these cases with no alternative media to balance it out, it is a certain death sentence for American freedoms and rights, and it's absolutely unconstitutional. Now, today, what are we going to get into? Well, Trump admits that 6G isn't an all-seeing eye. Slip of the tongue. We'll get into that. There's also exploding houses. Also, new COVID vaccine warning labels. Barron, Trump hangs out with Andrew Tate in some kind of bizarre initiation ritual. And Maduro, the dancing leader, responding to Trump stealing his toy boat. Wow. Now, good morning. Welcome to the channel. Now, let's start with an update from the Epstein pictures. And thanks to you super sleuths out there. See, this is what we need, okay? This is a prime example of why what Erica Kirk is saying is incorrect. This picture is captioned as unidentified man, right? So the news agencies don't know who this guy is, but one of you figured out who he was. Alternative media, talking about cases before they're solved, right? I mean, you guys, this is 101. So who is this guy? Who is this guy? Do you guys know who he is? I'm going to show you in a second. Let's go into the chat. Literally, the mainstream media doesn't even know who this guy is yet. They want to monopolize all the information. He is AI. No, he's not. He's not Rod Jones, but yeah. I'll show you who he is in a second. Who is that guy with next to Branson and Epstein? Well, let me show you. I'll just cut to the chase here. Let's do this side by side. Now, this is undisputable. Watch. Boom. Here he is right here. Same nose, same hair. Okay, let's go back. That's him, right? Same glasses even. Wow, so who is he? This guy basically invented the Segway. Remember that weird like thing with two wheels that you get on it and you ride around standing up? He also invented the auto syringe. Now, why would a guy like this be hanging around with Jeffrey Epstein? Well, Jeffrey Epstein was into technologies. He was into IVF and all kinds of bizarre stuff. Dean Kamen. This is him. And this article goes on to show you what he was into and what he invented. And so there's the mystery solved from alternative media. Now, it's not to say that the mainstream media would not have ever found the identity of this guy, but this is why we should always stand up for alternative media. Now, let's get into some of these other things, some other updates. Here's the Epstein update. Now, trigger warning. So you might want to click off. You might not want to look at your screen right now about what the Democrats just released from the Epstein images, just to show you how bizarre these people are. Look at this creepy sex toy. Are you kidding me? Now, what could you possibly want to do with something like this? And there's some other creepy images. Here's a gag. Now, look, I know some people are into this kinky stuff, but this is weird. There's, of course, the Trump condoms. And this all begs the question, right? Are the Democrats saving the best for last? Is all of this meant to just toy with Trump, pun intended, to basically get him to deny everything, and then they're going to bust out with, haha, you got caught lying? You have to wonder if this is what's going on. So that's the update on that. Now, I don't know what's going on with Trump, but maybe he's off of his game lately. He's starting to say weird stuff. Check this out. As he is obsessing over a woman in the crowd that he says looks like Ivanka. And we're going to zoom in on his face, because this isn't how a loving father looks and adores his daughter. Okay. He's looking at her. This is crazy. Let me just play it. This is unbelievable.
For those guys, the greatest. Then we have a man who, to me, this is the most interesting story. Boy, do you look like Ivanka. Has anyone ever told you that? I'm saying, is that Ivanka? Could you just turn around for the camera? Does she look like Ivanka? It's the most unbelievable thing. So I didn't want to take a chance. I say, is that Ivanka? You look just like Ivanka, which is a great compliment, actually.
Now, some people might not think that's weird, but based on all of our research, what could be happening here? Now, I don't want to speculate too much on this, but what could be happening here? Remember, Ivana lied about the birth of her children. She said that her children were born even though she had an IUD in place for all of the children. Yes, R. Jones, you're picking up what I'm putting down. What if they seeded this woman who was Ivanka or clone of her into the crowd to screw with Trump? Think about it. What better way to do that than to do that, right? Now, I'm not saying this is exactly what I haven't seen the woman. I don't know how much she looks like Ivanka. But if she is a dead ringer, this is possible. This is what happens with IVF. This is why you should never, ever, ever, never, ever give your seeds and eggs to just some random bank to be stored. You don't know who's going to use those. You don't know who's going to, and then these things are popped off and they're duplicated. This is why they have multiple births in twins, and it's more frequent with in vitro fertilization. So who's to say there isn't another Ivanka running around? This is crazy. So is this what's going on? I don't know, but remember, Trump is the Gemini president, the twin president. He was born Gemini. So there's something to this. I don't believe in astrology, but they do. And maybe this is what they're playing off of. But let's keep going here. Now, why is this a possibility? Well, again, her mother claimed that the children were all born even though she had an IUD in. And as I shared on the show the other day, I used to work in women's healthcare. I sold the IUD for years. I sold the Morena IUD, and the competitor was the Paragard, which was the copper IUD. We did videos on this, and I explained to you that it's nearly impossible. It's like 99.8% that you're going to get pregnant, let alone 3 times in a row. Heck, you might as well have gone out and bought a lottery ticket at that point, because you probably would have won millions of dollars with those odds. So that suggests that she was lying about being pregnant with an IUD. It also suggests, this is what these rich people do. Now, if you haven't heard this by now, these rich people fake pregnancies, okay? They fake them. They'll wear a pregnancy suit. Several celebrities have been caught with pregnancy suits. Now, why would they do this? Well, they're rich and famous. They're not going to, quote unquote, destroy their bodies. Now, I happen to think a woman who's, after she's become pregnant, God gave us an innate, as men, attraction to the shape and form of a woman who's had a child. He put it in us so that procreation could continue. But to the rich and famous, they're vain. They want to hold on to these bodies, okay, so they can continue to have an advantage over the rest of us. And so they have fake pregnancies. They have someone else carry the child, and then they claim the fame, so to speak, and then they get the adoration of people who think that they're real mothers. These people aren't real mothers, many of them. I'm not saying all, but you got to ask yourself, the first thing that Erica Kirk brought up about these Egyptian planes was, oh, I was pregnant. I want an In-N-Out burger and a chocolate sundae. There's no way I would be on an Egyptian plane. And she said she had a human growing inside of her. Who talks like that? Who talks like that? I had a human growing inside of me. That's creepy. No mother talks like that. What would a mother say? Some of you are mothers. What would you say? Would you ever say, I had a human growing inside of me? It almost implies that you're not human. It also implies that you never have carried a child. Now, I don't know this. We're simply pontificating about these things, because that's creepy. So you got to ask yourself, did Ivanka really carry these children? And now, if it was IVF, because Trump is now the IVF president, he wants to pay for IVF treatment for women that can't get pregnant. And I know that sounds like a great thing, but understand that now the United States government is in control of your eggs, and anything could be done. We already caught them using children's DNA from Eldon cards at birth for genetic experiments in our military. We already caught them doing that. The Texas A&M case where the parents sued. So if they're willing to do that and try to get away with that, what's stopping them from getting away with using eggs? See, there's a precedent for all this stuff. There's a precedent for it all. The government has already tried doing these things. It's not like we're making things up to be paranoid about. They've already done these things. Now, let's look at this snake thing, because he starts talking about the snake. Now, they don't show it here. Let's go back to this here. I'll put links to all these stories. Listen to this. Trump veered off the script, ricocheting through a laundry list of topics before landing on an unusual fixation: snakes. This is what he said. Peru is known to be a rather rough place in terms of physical creatures crawling around. A visibly sweaty Trump began. 28,000 people die a year from a snake bite. A certain snake. It's a viper. It's said to be the most poisonous snake in the world. Now, I think this was doublespeak. I think what he was really talking about here was the vaccine that he created at warp speed. Now, let's get into some of the rest of these stories. This one's funny. Trump and Maduro doing a dance off. This reminds me of Beat Street from the 1980s. As this is his response. Yes, I mean, this is insane. This is Maduro, and he says that, he's going to respond to Trump stealing his toy boat, and he's got this sword. So remember, Trump has swords, now Maduro has a sword. It's like a sword fight. And this is the update on what's going on in Venezuela. Now, this is just insane. Venezuela is struggling economically. CIA 101, you sanction the country, you cut off all their trade, and then you hope that their people turn against them and make them leave office so they could put a puppet in. This is CIA 101. They've done this a dozen times over the past 20 or 30 years. But yet, our government blames their corruption as if Maduro had, what's he doing with all the money? Was it in a bank somewhere? Like, okay, so if he's corrupt, where's all this money? Is he living in some palatial estate? They never talk about any of that. Oh, it's Maduro, he's corrupt. He's taking all the money from the people of Venezuela and they're upset at him. No, it's the sanctions causing the economic turmoil. We are literally starving their people out to try to do regime change. That's the truth, if you want to know it. And it's not to say Maduro's perfect. Of course, he's probably, but how much can a person spend, right? There isn't much difference between a 10 millionaire and a billionaire. There isn't really much difference. The only difference is the billionaires are using the extra money to make more money. And the 10 million, you can't spend that much money in your life. I mean, unless there's some ruling class in Venezuela. So this is insane. This is the rhetoric. And here we are again. Regardless of what side of the aisle you fall on, this is what we're dealing with. Now, the U.S. intends to keep the tanker's oil. Let's listen to this.
U.S. seizure of an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela and new comments from President Trump that seem to raise the stakes even higher. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz is in Washington.
Now, before I play the rest of this, understand that about 2 weeks ago, well, about a week ago, I told you the rhetoric would now change. Remember this? I said, mark my words, the rhetoric will now change and Trump will admit that they are there partially for the oil. And I told you that this would happen because their narrative about blowing up boats with no fentanyl on them is falling apart.
With the latest. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Rebecca. This morning, Venezuela is bracing for a possible land attack after President Trump said, like those strikes on suspected drug boats, it's going to be starting on land pretty soon. This comes after the U.S. seizure of that oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. New images showing the elite Coast Guard Tactical Operation Unit rappelling onto the deck of the ship.
The elite Coast Guard Tactical Operation
from U.S. Navy helicopters, and there are likely more seizures to come.
More seizures to come. So they're doing exactly what I told you they were going to do, pivoting toward,
administration now sanctioning 6 additional tankers they say are carrying Venezuelan oil.
So they're taking the oil. Are you awake yet? I hope you are. Now, how could I know all this? Well, it's the Holy Spirit saying, this is what's going to happen. Tell the people what's going to happen. And when it happens, hopefully more people wake up. This is insane. Yes, they are literally starving the people out. 6 additional tankers. Did you hear that? We are going after the oil. The gloves are off. There is no question now. Wow. Let's keep playing this.
In addition to sanctioning 3 nephews of Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro. Overnight, Maduro firing back, calling the seizure of the tanker kidnapping and robbery, comparing it to something out of Pirates of the Caribbean. This is all part of a massive show of force in the Caribbean region. We now have 15,000 U.S. military.
So it was always about the oil tankers, wasn't? This is why the fleet amassed. It's becoming very clear now. You don't amass a fleet so you can blow up a few fishing boats. That was just target practice. to get everyone ready, keep them busy. They were always there for the tankers. Steal Maduro's oil, starve the country out. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with one of the only countries that hasn't accepted the loans from the, the World Bank? The only country that's still somewhat independent. Oh, you can't do that. You got to be in our system. You got to be accountable to the world. And here we are. Wow. I can't even believe this. So Trump is there for the oil. There's no question now at this point. 6 additional tankers. How many tankers does Venezuela have? They can't have that many, because they've already been squeezed out of the market, so to speak. Now here's where things get interesting. 95% of Venezuela's oil was going to China. Where's China in all this? Well, let's do a search on the page. I almost guarantee you, yep, not one word about China in this article. We are now up to 7 or 8 tankers that are on the chopping block. Some of those probably were going to China, but China has nothing to say about this. And I told you that likely China sold Venezuela out because Venezuela's not in the world banking system. This is the truth about the world we live in. This isn't about regimes and, all this stuff, dictators, because U.S. supports other dictators. We don't go in and invade them. We don't go in and invade Russia. The Saudis have been dictators forever. You see the problem here? It's hypocrisy. Let me check in with you guys, and I'm going to show you an exploding house not too far from where I live, or where I'm staying at my mom's. Not where I live, but where I'm staying at my mom's. But I want to check in with you guys and see what's going on with you and what your thoughts are about this. Yes, the plot thickens. Crickets from China while we are taking their oil that was on the way to China. Not all of those tankers were going to Iran. Somebody's lying. Right? So, now don't get caught in the right-left paradigm. Don't get mad and say, why are you always criticizing Trump? Or you must be a Democrat. No, no, no. We're looking at the facts of this now. We're looking at how every week we tell you something's going to happen, and then the next week it happens. And where it's all headed. This is about complete domination and control. We'll get into that at the end of the show. 6G technology was essentially all-seeing radar is what it is. Now, let's get into this exploding house. This is insane.
All seriously hurt in the explosion and the fire that followed. 3 others were also hurt but were discharged.
Yeah, now the Red Cross is helping displaced neighbors find places to stay this evening. Firefighters say they're going to be there at what's a place in Hayward all night long.
The explosion happened around 9:30 this morning after PG&E reported a gas leak caused by a construction crew on Llewellyn Boulevard.
So look at the crater. Wow. Now in this case, there was a crew on site when this happened. So I don't anticipate anything nefarious was going on. But understand that this is running cover for what we're going to talk about later in the show, which are the Predator drones flying over American skies right now. They could literally take anybody out at any time. They can blow you up and blame it on a gas explosion. Okay? Casey, you're out of your mind. Well, just wait till the end of the show and you'll see. I will show you proof that we have been flying Predator drones over American soil during both Trump presidencies. This is a thing now. The surveillance state is here. Now, before we get into that, Americans are pushing back on artificial intelligence and Trump. AI is powering Trump's economy, but American voters are getting worried. You think? Let's listen here.
26 is going to look like precisely So I'd rather not give you guys any guidance, and that's why we don't give you guidance, but we do give it for Q1.
What the?
That was Broadcom CEO there, Hock Tan. Bloomberg intelligence analyst.
What are these people talking about? Let's read this. President Donald Trump is heading into 2026 election year, vowing to pull out all the stops to promote artificial intelligence, just as American voters are starting to voice some doubts. All through Trump's first year back in office, almost everyone had something to say about AI. Blah, 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 blah. The president helped fuel the buzz, appearing alongside various tycoons to announce big AI projects. On Thursday, he signed an order seeking to limit states from imposing their own curbs on AI, marking another win for the industry. Let's see. At the local level, many voters objected to the spread of data centers, the building blocks of AI's advance. Now, we talked about this early on. As soon as these data centers started spreading, people's electricity bills were going up, their water bills were going up. These data centers hog resources, and they are nodes of the surveillance state, the future surveillance state. You guys, why do you think they built all these? Why do you think that these detention facilities were built all over the United States for a few immigrants? It's not for the illegals, it's for all of us. They're just practicing on the illegals. This is a giant practice run. AI digital data centers whose huge demand for electricity is getting linked to bigger household bills. That affordability issue now has political traction. It helped Democrats score major wins. Now, Democrats aren't the answer either. Understand that. This is just more right-left paradigm. On top of that, there's the employment risk. Data centers create plenty of construction jobs, but not so many once they're up and running. Remember, we warned about this too years ago, you guys. Worse, there are widespread fears that technologies incubated there may turn out to be job killers. They absolutely are job killers. So I'm glad to see this is now mainstream concern, but it's almost like it's too late. This is the problem. The AI is controlling sentiment. It silences the sentiment until it's too late to do anything about it. It's silencing social media sentiment. And now, social media space is flooded with fake accounts, fake channels, artificial intelligent channels, and it's watering down what it means to be human. It's essentially a silent takeover. Now, here's one example of why we need to demand real sentiment online. And here's another example of why it's too little too late once they've already implemented what they're going to do and force what they want. Because now they're finally admitting, only because they have to, that there are serious concerns about the COVID vaccine, and they're putting a warning now on the vaccine. A black box warning, which is the most serious warning that you can put on a medication. It says, according to people familiar with the agency's plans, the latest move by President Trump's health officials to undermine a vaccine that was a standout victory of his first term. So essentially what you have is an admission that what they made may, I have to say may, have killed people or hurt them. May have. We all know the truth. We all know. And I'll put a link to this story as well, so you can read this with your own eyes. Now, what else is going on? Well, in some bizarre initiation ritual, Barron Trump hooked up with Andrew Tate. I mean, what is this? Some kind of coming of age man talk? Some kind of initiation? Now, these two guys are well known in the red pill manosphere. And whatever you think about them, this is about the furthest thing from presidential that a president could look like in terms of any political future for Barron Trump. And of course, Donald Trump was the one that sanctioned this. Now, in terms of Jeffrey Epstein, Andrew Tate isn't much different. The only difference is you don't have a solid PDF file aspect to Tate, whereas you do with Epstein, but both are in this weird space where they don't really see women as people. They're seen as objects. to be used and abused and ran through. So what is this about? What are they doing? It's almost like they're gaslighting us. Look at this. What is that in the background? It looks like Peter Pan or something. Is that a man with a dress on? What? So creepy. So, if you had any doubts, President Donald Trump's 19-year-old son Barron spoke to self-proclaimed misogynist influencer and accused grapeist, or we call him a therapist, Andrew Tate on Zoom and received dating advice from one of Tate's associates. Barron admired Tate and spoke with him over Zoom, according to Justin Waller, mutual friend who was on the call. During the Zoom call, the two reportedly discussed their shared belief that the Romanian grape and trafficking criminal case was an effort to silence the Tates. The plot thickens. A lot of news coming out of Romania, isn't there? Connected to Erica Kirk and all these other things. What a crazy matrix we live in, you guys. Now, let's hop off of that and get into 6G. Trump goes on stunning 6G camera riff to tech honchos who laugh along without correcting him.
Had made commitment working with your administration, working with FCC. We're going to accelerate 6G. We're working to have a launch first in the world in the LA Olympics. And I think that's another opportunity for America to lead in the next wireless evolution. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the partnership. And we're going to be hard at work, I think, driving that agenda.
So we're into 6G now, huh? I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
He signed the executive order 5G, 6G, and beyond in 2020 when we were locked down. Now he's pretending to not really know about it.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, well, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's so the 6 is coming, huh?
It's coming.
Does it ever end? And what happens? You'll be into 7, right? Before 6 gets old, you'll be into 7. Anybody have anything else to say? Anybody?
I think that the other thing is we want to thank you as well for the openness of your organization and your team. We always find people that wants to hear what we need and is willing to design programs that will support us. So thank you for.
Well, we're here to serve. We want you to just dominate the whole world in terms of what you do. It's a very important world, and you're doing that. And we're making it easy for you, and that means you're going to do it faster. It's more jobs, and a lot of good things happen. Right? Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, you may not recall, but in your first term, you actually sponsored the Department of Energy to build the largest systems ever built. And thanks to your sponsorship...
Why do all these people speak with an accent? In our country.
Department of Energy owns the 3 top supercomputers in the world, and we build it with them. And these are systems that can do quintillion operations per second. And that means we can solve
I know.
a lot of...
we made that possible. It's worked out very well. Good.
Solve problems. So now we're going to build the next generation again.
Good. Sounds good to me.
Now, what's funny about this article and about a very non-funny topic, right, is that Trump was actually telling the truth. And the article tries to make it sound like Trump's a crazy conspiracy theorist, but he's actually telling the truth about this camera feature. Wow. President described 6G technology as a camera feature, and assembled tech leaders laughed along without correcting him. No, it's actually true. 6G is essentially a camera in everybody's home. "6G's camera everywhere capability isn't just about better phone cameras, it's about the network itself, seeing and mapping the world, using integrated sensing, with radio waves, millimeter waves, for ultra precise 3D imaging, localization, and environmental awareness, creating digital twins, enabling holographic communication and powering hyper-realistic AR/VR, virtual reality, all while using existing devices like smart glasses to provide immersive, context-aware experiences beyond optical limitations, essentially giving the network a sixth sense for real-time digital world understanding. The sixth sense. I wonder if we're going to start seeing dead people. So Trump was right. And people are so locked in the right-left paradigm, they don't even get it. The impact of 6G technology on security and surveillance systems for next-generation protection. Essentially, what 6G will allow the network to do is to tap into every single camera in real time all across the world. And someone sits at a computer screen and they can essentially do a search through the algorithms and literally peek inside of anybody's home at any time through their cameras. Look at the logo for 6G. It is an Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. I'm not going to read through this whole Wikipedia article on 6G, but needless to say, the cornerstone of 6G technology is artificial intelligence. In other words, without artificial intelligence, you can't have 6G. So this whole thing was a scam. This is why they launched artificial intelligence in the infancy of 6G. This is why it's out now everywhere, to soften the target and also to put it in place to drive all of this. The article also mentions the Internet of Things, digital twins, and an entire digital copy of our world that can be searched, analyzed, studied, and ultimately modulated and controlled. Essentially, 6G is the first step in the Matrix movie. This was their plan all along. Well, Casey, what's there to worry about? Why are you so worried? Who cares if we have a digital twin? Well, somebody in the chat raised a very good question. You said something about Predator drones and Trump saying that they would be released in 2026. We don't have to wait for 2026 because it's already happened. Predator drones on American soil happened in 2020, actually. Already. And it happened over the No Kings movement as well, just a few months ago. He already flew Predator drones with facial recognition over the protests. The precedent has already been set. The surveillance state is already here. Oh, well, Casey, he only did that because BLM was going to burn down our cities. Well, they already burned down the city. So what was the use? There was a Predator drone. Why couldn't they stop the cities from being burned down? And No Kings movement wasn't BLM. No cities burned down during No Kings. That was more like people like you and me saying, you know what, there's an oligarchy. Now, I didn't go to the protests, but we all knew that it was an oligarchy, and that's unacceptable. We're seeing the effects of it. Rising food costs. Offshoring of jobs still. Foreign investors coming in and changing the face of what it means to be American. To the tune of trillions of dollars. Building plants in our country. Foreigners. Now, I truly believe that the Democrat side is created, the two sides work together. Not that the right created the Democrats, but they're all one side. That's what it is. They have to have this controlled opposition to justify the encroachment. Let me give you an example. Think of a boxing match. What if only one boxer showed up to the match and just danced around the ring and punched himself? Nobody would show up to the boxing match. You have to have an opposite side. It's the competition of it all, and this is what they keep feeding into. They feed into the competition. This is why 5G and 6G was allowed to get to the point where it is, because it's about competition. Oh, we got to beat China, and people just jump right on that without even asking any questions. We got to be number one. This is why we have sports in America. This is why we have Super Bowls. It keeps the competitive spirit alive. This is why we have an economic system where you can work really hard, or what we're told, you can work really hard and make millions of dollars. This is what the capitalist system is based off of, even though that's not actually true. You can work really hard and end up with nothing most of the time. But they lead us to believe that we live in the greatest country in the world if only you apply yourself. What they don't tell you is that only the people that they've pre-selected make it through the glass ceiling, and that involves selling out on some level. The more you make, the more you have to sell out. So the Chinese-style surveillance state is already here. They just haven't told everyone yet. They haven't gotten the memo. So that's what I had for you guys today. I'm in the chat now. Do you guys want to do a poll? Yes, no oversight for AI. Absolutely 100%. Trump signed the legislation. There's no oversight. You can't resist it. The states are forbidden. It's a takeover. Now, what can you do about it? Well, keep standing up for alternative media. That will be the last brick to fall, or the last pin to fall, I guess they say. Because without a dissenting voice, they'll just run right through us, won't they? So, Barron looks bizarre, almost like Trump twin. Now understand that the ultra rich, they already have the technology to run through their DNA and pre-select what eggs and sperm they want to use for better genetics. I mean, they can't. I guess you can't really do that with if it's coming from the mother and the father. But then you got to wonder. Well, I guess Ivanka does look like her mother, Ivana, so it's probably from her egg. But wow. Yeah, they can pre-select. And that's the problem with IVF, is that it opens up the door for selecting like a master race. Because you can literally go through millions of different options and find the best one that's not predisposed to cancer, who's going to be 6'8", and all these things. So, who knows, you guys? Who knows? All right. Cool. All right, you guys. Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Yes, Susie. Designer babies. Yes, in Dune, they were bred through a secret society. Yeah, so this is real. Barron is IVF, says Sheldon. I mean, he does look like Trump, and he does look like his mother, Melania. They both, I mean, he's a dead ringer for both of them. probably an artificial womb as well. Or they have someone carry the child, right? Because you can do that. And then they either off the person or they, make them sign a non-disclosure agreement to where they can never ever tell anyone that they carried the child. Or you never know. Maybe it's all done anonymously. So these women become like, surrogates. And, they're not told who the parents are. They're just inseminated with the egg that they carry the child to term. And no one ever knows that that was Barron Trump or that this was Ivana Trump, right? It would be really easy to do that. Wow. And all of this, of course, is unnatural and is not what God intended. These workarounds. So you got to wonder what the ramifications of that are long term. They may have still chosen his genetics. Well, yeah, I mean, they have CRISPR technology. They can go in and edit the genes. And even if it's both from the same parents, they can edit the genes to make a different person, right? So yeah, that can happen as well. And the super wealthy have access to this stuff. Okay, they're approached by people or they know people and they go, hey, I want to have the next president of the United States, and I want you to edit the genes to make this my child fluent in several languages, and this and that. I want them to be 6'8" or 6'9". I want them to have these color eyes, and they could easily edit the genes to make all that happen, and then bring that being into the world, the unnatural being. All right, you guys, I guess I'm going to pop off here. I will see you all tomorrow. Likely I'll put links to all this in the pinned comment, and I will re-upload this for a night evening show, probably 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you guys want to show up to that chat, it'll be the same exact show from this morning for those of you that like the night shows. Much love, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.